What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today, on the table in front of us is a new knife that is making the rounds. This one came to me by way of the Apex Pass-Around group, and for that I am very grateful. Bestech is very good about sending this Pass-Around group their knives as they come out and give us a chance to take a look at them and to play with them to see what we think. This is the Bestech Texel, T-E-X-E-L. And it is a very nice, little switch on the blade, D2 and G10 steel linered knife. Now, I understand there are a lot of these out in the world today, but this one I was particularly interested in because I know that I already love the blade shape. And how do I know that? Well, the Texel is Bestech's version, as it were, of the APurvis Blades progeny. Yep, they share the same blade shape and design. Man, there's really something all over that blade. And that means that I knew that the Texel was going to be a good cutter and a good EDC knife before it even showed up, because this is a stellar knife. Now, there are some noticeable differences. First and foremost, of course, the Bestech Texel is in D2, while the APurvis progeny is in M390, but both are made by Bestech. There are some other subtle differences. The blade stock, the M390 blade stock on the progeny is considerably thicker than the D2 blade stock on the Texel, but that makes the Texel a little bit better of a cutter. As you can see, they do share very much the same blade profile. The handles are a little different, and interestingly enough, although I would never pick G10 for myself, I learned something interesting in the time that I've had this knife. The G10 and the steel liners are shaped in such a way that it's actually a little nicer in hand for me than my own progeny, which is a knife that I love. As you can see, the progeny's handle is very thin. Now, I still get a good grip on it. The way it is shaped means that there's very little blade rock when I'm locked in. Knife rock. It doesn't want to move around in my hand, and that's great. But it is still very, very thin. For everyday carry purposes and for EDC use, the Texel has a little thicker of a handle. It's a little wider, and it's a little taller through here. And man, does it sit into the hand beautifully. This is a great knife. Now, knowing already how much I like the blade profile and how useful it is for EDC purposes helped. Like I said, I knew when this thing landed that I was going to enjoy carrying it and using it. But I was really surprised at how much, because I love this one. I thought, well, I'm not going to need that. But these are expensive. They just are. This will be considerably less so. Now, I don't know exactly how much this is going to be because it hasn't hit the market yet. But I know Bestech knives tend to run in the $50 or $60 range for their D2 and G10 models. And for that, what you're getting is all of this design thoughtfulness, and Purvis designs are really good, useful knives. He has a history as a firefighter, and that means that he tends to approach knives from a position of what is useful and good in hand, and it shows. That being the case, this has all of the same cutting characteristics, maybe even a little better. I think it's a little thinner behind the edge, and all of the same conceptual ideas behind it. But this is Bestech's take on this knife, and they've done a great job. They really have. It rides the pocket exceptionally well in a stamped steel clip. It's not deep carry, but neither is, well, this is considerably more deep carry, I should say. This is not deep carry. You get about, what do we get? About a ½ inch or a little more of knife sticking up out of the pocket, but it slips in and out of the pocket, even in the heavy jeans that I wear, very well. It's got good spring, it's got good ramp, it's got good lift back here, there's plenty of room. It does not create a hot spot in the hand when you're really bearing down on this knife. This is an excellently designed clip. Do I wish it was deep carry? Well, of course I do. I like deep carry clips, but it's not, and that's okay. It's not a ton of knife just the same. It is very light. They have milled out the steel liners a ton. Now, I'm not going to try to show you on camera because I'm not set up for it, but because of these G10 scales, light shines through, and you can see these things are skeletonized like crazy on The show side and even the back of the lock side is skeletonized back here for weight reduction. This has a marvelous G10, just little backspacer. It's essentially open construction. It's got a little G10 backspacer with a nice lanyard hole. Now, I don't lanyard, but if you do, it's there for you. It is running on bearings, and the action is really, this knife's party piece is so good. It does not want to pop out. You can't really shake it out, but the snap is spectacular on that flipper. It's got a little bit of jimping here on the liner lock, as you can see, that enables your thumb to get good purchase for closing, and it closes very quickly. It's got a little bit of jimping up here at the top of the blade where your thumb rests fairly naturally, and that is very nice. And it has a little more jimping on the back of on the flipper tab where your finger rests. This is, by any measure, a well-designed D2 and G10 knife. Do I like it more than the Progeny? Well, no. I love the Progeny. But it does have some features that I think are, well, almost a little better. I prefer the flipper tab on the Texel to the Progeny. This allows you to get a little more purchase, whereas this one, it works every time, don't get me wrong, but it's more fingertippy. Whereas with this one, you just place your finger and then draw backwards and it snaps right open. There's this cutout here, this little bit of choil, that on the Progeny is actually part of the scale, but it doesn't come too much farther back down. On the Texel, you get more handle right where you need it. And it really does a good job. This is a stellar knife. You guys know, I've said many times, I am kind of D2 and G10'd out. But that doesn't mean I don't recognize a good one when I see it. And this is a good one. So let's do a size comparison. We're not going to do it up against its cousin here because that would be too obvious. Let's go ahead and use our old friend, the Rat Model 1. The Rat 1, as you can see, is considerably longer in handle, but I'll tell you, you get only maybe 1/8 of an inch more cutting surface on the Rat 1. There is lots of nice blade on the Texel here, as you can see. Blade height, they are actually very similar, although you get a little more like long belly, you know, as opposed to on the Rat 1, you get this nice flat and then a bit of belly. On the Texel, it's just nice long sweep, and it's gentle, but it allows for really good EDC use. In the time that I've had this thing, I've cut packages with it, and then I've opened up some stuff, and I played with some rope and some strings just to see how that went. And much like its more expensive cousin here, this is a really good cutter. And of course, that matters for EDC. It's a non-threatening knife. You pull this thing out in the lunchroom, and people are not going to lose their minds. And yet, it is a really satisfying knife in hand. I think Bestech has done the APurvis Blades design a lot of justice here. And because they're doing it in D2 and G10, they're going to offer it to a much wider market. I think that is a really cool thing. I really do. If you are looking for a knife that is just about ideal for everyday carry, in size and dimension and weight and in blade shape, the Texel, or Texel maybe, what about Texel, is going to be the knife for you. Now, I don't say that you should go out and get a knife very often. I really don't. But in a world flooded with G10 and D2 knives, when a good one comes along, one that really stands out because of the design, because of the thoughtfulness in the overall build, because of things like the action, that is so good. When these things hit the market, if you are looking for a D2 and G10 EDC knife to satisfy your needs, this will be a great direction to go. I guess that's it. The Texel is an excellent blade from a good designer, made by an excellent company. Keep your eyes out, because when these things hit the market, it's going to be worth owning. They will come in other colors, but even if they didn't, the nice thing about Jade G10, excuse me, is that you can dye this thing any color you want. And if I was going to keep it, I would. because I don't like jade. But again, that's just me. Hey, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Bestech Texel. It is a fantastic knife. It has a good, strong family lineage, and it will be worth your time if you are into this kind of knife, for sure. Again, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please like the video. Subscribe if you haven't done so. I'd love to have you here on a regular basis. Thank you again. I will see you next time.